Hey everyone, David Bieber here. Welcome back to my guitar channel. Different location, as you can see, not the usual studio setting. I'm currently over in Budapest at the verrry Guitars workshop, doing some filming there. And while I've got some downtime in the Airbnb, I thought I would produce some lesson content and keep the YouTube channel ticking over. So today what we're going to do is look at an Hinds lick. I'm a big Alan fan. He's almost the perfect guitar player, really. That combination of bluesy feel, changes playing in legato, it just ticks all the boxes. Back in the mid 2010s, I was an enormous fan and did loads of transcribing and listening, and I haven't listened it so much in the last couple of years or so, but on the plane over to Budapest I've got Falling Up, the album on, amazing album. And yeah, I just thought I've got to do some transcribing while I'm over here. So you heard the lick that we're going to do at the start of the video, and it comes from the title track of the album, Falling Up. So and it's the climax of the guitar solo, and it's a really cool 16th triplet legato lick. And it's not super difficult, certainly compared to some of the usual things that I'm doing on here, but it's beautiful and it's a really fun one to play. So I thought it'd be nice for you guys to dig into. What we'll also do, if I've got time, I'm going to pop out a bit later back to the workshop, but what we might do is look at ways you can make this lick your own as well. So ways in which you can implement it and practice the skills you need to be able to improvise something perhaps like this. So let's dive right into it and we'll look at how to play the lick. Now the tune is in E minor, and whilst there are some beautiful crafty compositional techniques going on with the chords, the lick is pretty much just going to be straight E natural minor, really, what we're looking at. When I was transcribing this on the plane, I was doing it in the different places because I didn't have the guitar with me, and I kind of can hear well enough to sort of imagine where it might be. But it's always interesting when you actually get onto the fretboard and then how you can figure out different ways to play it. So this has kind of evolved a little bit, and sort of listening back and thinking about Alan's style and how he kind of fingers and frets things. I'm not saying that this is accurate by any means, but it's more accurate than my first pass when I was on the plane. So I don't think there's any slides in this. So initially I had some sliding around, but I've tried to get it to sort of the 3 fingers as well, not using it as much as the pinky finger. Just thinking about some sort of Alan's style of playing. And I cannot play anything like him. I'm far more, I don't know, robotic, I guess. Alan has this perfect, beautiful, bubbly, it's in time and it's perfectly controlled in time, but there's a beautiful bubbly flow to it. If you don't know the guy or his music, definitely check him out. He's an incredible player. Anyway, so let's get actually started playing the lick. So slowly I'll just play it once through. Now I'm using a combination of obviously legato, hammer-ons and pull-offs and hybrid picking. Again, I don't think Alan hybrid picks. That's something I never really thought about, but I have to do that because that's just how I play, and that will be notated in the transcription. But don't feel like you have to do the hybrid picking thing for this. It's certainly not essential. So we're starting up here on high E17, hammering on to 19, pulling back to 17 and pulling back to 15. So then we're coming down to the B string and pulling off from B17 to B15. So we have, that's the first bunch of sextuplets. So, and the next grouping of 6 notes goes like this. So I'm on G17, pulling off to G16. Pulling off to G14, coming down to D17, back up to G14, hammering on to G16. Like that. So putting that together we get okay, now the next grouping, the next beat goes like this. Pulling off to I'm going to pick it now, but it would be pulling off from the previous note. So from 16, I'm pulling off into G14 again. So those are the 6 notes. So I've got G14, coming down to D17, pulling off to D14, hammering on to D16, hammering on to D17, and then on to G14 again. So we get. If we put all that together so far, we have 1, 2, 3, and the last one goes. So we're on D17, pulling off to D16, pulling off to D14, and coming down onto A17, pulling off to A14, coming down to low E17, that was an interesting note, and then coming string skipping up to D14. So putting all that together, through we get this. Like I say, I'm hybrid picking all of this. You don't have to do it, but it is notated in the PDF file if you want to try that. And I say I'm also using more of 3 fingers than I usually would do. But it does feel quite nice to play, and it's nice to get some different licks into your vocabulary, I guess. But what we're going to look at now, as I think I do have time, is just talk about a few ways in which you can make this lick your own and ways to practice groupings of 6 notes in this tonality that's going to allow you to start to build some freedom to improvise something like this, but not exactly the same. So let's dig into that. Okay, so the goal here is to kind of mimic the technique and the rhythmic ideas that Alan's doing in this bar. So what we're going to try to do is aim to improvise for a full bar, so that's 4 beats and 16th note triplets. And we're not really particularly looking for the exact melodic shape or the specific groupings. We're just trying to get this technique and subdivision, and this is quite tricky, and we're trying to do it within the harmonic area of E natural minor. So what I'm going to do first of all is just demonstrate some improvising of this. My setup here is a little bit weird, so I'm going to have to cut it in the way I'm recording the audio and the voice. But so here's a demonstration of it. Okay, so that's at full speed to a drum beat, improvising just 16th note triplets for a bar, and then landing on, trying to land on the root, I think is what he does. So what we're going to talk about is how to get there. This is quite difficult and tricky, and it's assuming a few things. So the first one is that your fretboard visualization is strong, solid, and you can see your way around. And we're going to talk about how to develop that, and I'm going to plug something of mine in just a moment. But the other thing we need to make sure is that we're applying a consistent technique, so we're not kind of doing things at one speed that differently technically to another speed. So the very first thing I would do is to completely strip out any backing or drum beat or anything at all like that, and just try to be able to feel and sort of like plod your way through, walk your way through the fretboard, just seeing the harmony with the technique. Police sirens right in the middle of downtown Budapest, so it's quite noisy. I can't RX that out either. So what you might want to try first is just getting 6 notes or 6 notes plus 1. Just being able to see those in real time and find them on the fretboard with the technique, stripped away from any backing or drum beat. So you might try something like this, going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So I can see here that if I'm thinking relative to E as the root note, that would be 5, flat 7, 5, flat 3, 1, flat 7, 1. And I'm really cognizant, super conscious of the triplet, 16th note triplet feel there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now, we might need to go even slower than that. If you can't see the harmony, if you can't visualize the fretboard of this harmonic area in real time, this isn't going to happen. So you need to go as super slow as you need, as necessary. So I might even, if I was doing this in a harmonic area I didn't know, let's say I don't know this, E natural minor, and I might have to go as slow as something like this, like Now, you could kind of do this against a 3-note per string or a cage shape, but I probably recommend to not do that. I think your pathways will ultimately be more limited. The way that I did this was purely from a 2-point intervallic system, and then just practice doing this in real time for hours and hours and hours. And I think it leads to slightly more varied pathways. But yeah, you mightn't do this as super slow. So after you can do this for single beats plus 1 note, then eventually you'll want to try and build it up to the full bar. But again, I wouldn't do anything with a backing track or a drum beat. Put the onus on yourself to keep track of where you are. And this is also a really important part of this skill, is to be able to know where you are and feel it inside, regardless of whether there's any time clicking away for you. So let's try that now. I'm going to do the 4 beats really slowly and then land on the first beat of the next bar. So let's try, I don't know. Oh, and I'm going to actually count out the beats, so I'm going to vocalize it out loud, so hopefully you can hear that. It was with the guitar as well, so I might go something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've never played those lines before. They were purely improvised. I'm finding those intervallic functions, those intervals at will, as I'm practicing the technique. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ended on the flat 7 there. And you could do that as well. So if you can't always just find your way to the root, you could find any of the chord tones. So I could actually target specific chord tones to finish on as well, and try and build my pathway to get there. So I might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's landing on the flat 3. So now I'll target the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Landed on the 5. Now, it's kind of hard to explain how this happens. I can just sort of, through doing this very slowly and targeting the chord tones, you start to get a feel for predicting into the future how many notes and beats you're going to need to then target that 5 or target that flat 3. And this really only comes about through doing it, not even this slow, but way slower than this even. Let's target, say, the flat 7 just for argument's sake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Flat 7. Go back to the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Landed on the root. So after doing that for hours upon hours until you build this fretboard visualization. Again, we'll talk a little bit about how to do that in just a moment. But assuming you have the visualization and you have the technique, then this is the way I would practice trying to build in real time these kind of pathways to control specific lengths of improvised lines. So the next thing we're going to do, assuming you've done that for hours and hours, is put it to the drum beat, but do it at half time. And that's something that I've practiced probably more than anything really. Doing this to a drum beat at full tempo, but halving the subdivision that I'm doing. So we're doing 8th note triplets. So I'll go back to playing direct, recording direct again, and I'll do it with the drum beat to demonstrate this. Okay, so that's how I go about practicing improvising, constructing in real time these lines of a specific length in a harmonic area, assuming that you have the fretboard knowledge, the fretboard visualization ability, and the technique in place. Now, I'm not teaching those here in this lesson today, but if you wanted to go further and develop your fretboard knowledge, then you could do a lot worse than to check out the solo app that I developed. And this is something that is highly going to get you to think in real time, very slowly, and about intervallic functions, and to build your fretboard knowledge to a really high standard. As I say, essential for being able to construct in a free manner these improvised long flowing lines. So links for that are in the description below. This is the solo app that I developed with my mate Tom Quayle, and you can get it for iOS, Android, and yeah, link is in the description below. So I hope you've enjoyed that lesson today. Might try and do a few more of these while I'm out here. I've been using this incredible Fibonacci Basic Jazz Anniversary Edition. I borrowed this. This one's not mine, unfortunately. And I borrowed this for the week while I was here, just for the apartment. But yeah, check out Fibonacci guitars. There's a lot more coming on my channel and elsewhere with those. As I said, I've been out here doing some cool filming with them, and links in the description also for these guys. Check out my website, I've got some lessons over on there, and follow me on Instagram, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want more lessons and more content like this. I will see you in another video. Bye bye.